They've been trying to break defending champion Walker Fowler all year long, and they have made some breakthroughs. Can Fowler get back on top in cross-country racing today? This race could be the X factor.
Are you ready to go GNCC racing?
It's round 6 of the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series, the X Factor Whitetails GNCC. There's some of our friends there in the woods showing you why we call it this. This is a sportsman preserve. Jason Wygant to give you the call. We're going to unleash the trails of this facility to ATV racing, but first our AMSOIL race recap of our last event. This was the Camp Coker Bullet GNCC in South Carolina. Very sandy soil, very rough racetrack. Walker Fowler, your defending champion, getting out front early. Fowler with a couple of bad races this year, trying to stretch his points lead back out with Jared McClure, the number 3, chasing him. Here's Bryson Neal, who had recently scored a breakthrough first career win in North Carolina, trying to follow it up and make it 2 for 2. But it was a tough day for him as far as being able to match Fowler's pace. There's a young gun, Devin Feehan, showing just how hard these guys were pushing to try to keep Fowler in sight throughout most of the day. But after some furious battling in the early laps, Fowler was able to secure the victory and reestablish himself on top of the series. McClure and Neal right behind him. Now, we've had a variety of weather today. We've had it all. Let's see what Fowler thinks of it.
I don't love the rain, but it's the same conditions for everybody. So, it's no different than going into snowshoe. It's going to be nasty or miserable, and if it's not, then it's a good day. But like I said, same for everybody. I can ride the mud. I can ride any conditions. As a champion, you have to be able to do that. You can't be a fair weather rider. So, my mindset is no different than any other conditions. If it quits raining, it's going to be sweet. If it doesn't, I'm going to put the trash bag on with a big Yamaha sticker. I'm going to run it like I did last year. So. Just get a good start, focus on my race, and let those other guys worry about themselves, because when I'm out front, you don't have to worry about me.
And there is Fowler getting ready for battle. He's certainly confident as he hops on that Walker Fowler Racing Yamaha. So what we've heard is some of the rain we had earlier this weekend, in the woods it could be muddy. Speaking of mud, there's Johnny Gallagher, the number 10, who had a huge victory at this race, first of his career last year, in what was an absolute mudder, and that's Fowler's dad. It was actually Fowler who Gallagher beat for the win last year, but everybody loves Johnny G, so Fowler's dad still pumped on him. Let's go racing. Huge jump by Martin Christopherson, but he's going to go too wide in the first turn, and bad news, Fowler trying to lock him down. No, Christopherson still fighting for the inside. Fowler's going to secure the whole shot. Some Weisco money coming his way. We're into the fields. And this is the interesting thing. We've had so much sun and wind here that the fields are actually a little bit dusty, certainly dry. And you don't need me to explain that vision obviously will be an issue in these open sections. Now in the woods, it's still pretty wet. We're going to go to XC2. These are our up-and-coming riders just one notch below the class you just watched, which is XC1. Hunter Hart, working on a 2-race win streak, is on the yellow machine, number 7. But Austin Abney and Brody Livingood battling. Abney in red, going to grab the whole shot. And he heard some fans. Abney and Livingood have some people cheering for them. They were going nuts down there. Back to XC1. Looks like Chris Borich has jumped up to second place to challenge Fowler for the lead. Borich, a multi-time champ in the series. And is this some cool terrain to ride here in Indiana or what? And there's some of the mud that Fowler and the rest of the riders were talking about going into this race. So totally different conditions in the woods from what we saw in the fields. You're going to have to be versatile to win this one.
The AMSOIL GNCC series on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you in part by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics, Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready, and by Monster Energy, Unleash the Beast.
Back to the X Factor Whitetails Grand National Cross Country Race. Walker Fowler leading and getting away. Furious battle here raging behind him. One rider we want to watch for is Adam McGill. He's at the tail end of this group. See the red jersey? Bad start for McGill today. Normally he wants to be a little bit further up front. You give him a start, he can run with Fowler and even win races. But last 2 rounds he has been struggling a bit. Then just behind that lead group, this number 10 is Johnny Gallagher. 23 years of racing in the pro class. And then last year he broke through and got his first career win. It was a mutter, but Johnny excels in those conditions. He's still riding well today. We talked to him earlier.
I mean, I think years ago I definitely earned the moniker Mud Specialist. I used to podium and definitely have top 5s almost every race when it was muddy. And the majority of my podiums over the years have come in the mud. Not all of them. There's been some podiums on dry days, but you know, I think growing up in Northeast Ohio, we raced every weekend when I was younger, and the conditions were pretty poor. So I learned how to ride the mud, and I think it's really about attitude. So when the conditions get worse, I just have a good attitude and realize that you just got to keep pushing for 2 hours and do everything that you can possibly do to get to the finish line as quickly as possible, because nobody's going to have a perfect day. I mean, last year I was buried, stuck, and was all the well. Obviously, I ended up running into Big John in the first turn and was dead last in XC1, and then at one point on the first lap, picked a bad line and kind of got hung up and was back behind the entire XC2 class. So to come from there to end up ultimately winning the race, it just shows you just can't ever give up. You just have to keep pushing, and so that's kind of the attitude I try to have, whether it's wet or dry, but on wet days it seems to pay off that much more.
Little bit wet in the woods, but nothing like last year. Here's Fowler, and he still has competition. Chris Borich not going anywhere, camped out on the rear grab bar of Fowler's Yamaha on his customary Suzuki LTR 450. And each time we see them, it looks like Borich is actually a little bit closer to Fowler. So we've got a battle brewing for the lead. Let's see who's coming with them. I think that might be Jared McClure. Then this is Bryson Neal. So Fowler in command of this race early, but now the top 4 beginning to tighten up. And Borich going for the lead. This is exciting to see. GNCC fans remember many, many classic Borich passes for the #1 spot in the fields. And it's a drag race between these two. Have a lot of respect for each other right now. Fowler able to hold them off. We're back into the woods, but here comes McClure and Neal, and we've got that 4-rider freight train we were hoping to see up front here in Indiana. Definitely gets dangerous when Fowler gets a hole shot, but these riders not intimidated. Wins for Neal and Adam McGill this year, and everybody else wants a share of it, including Borich, who has not won since his last GNCC championship season 4 years ago.
I still feel like I'm obviously one of the best up here, and race days, like you said, when I was winning, it was nobody fazed me, and nobody still does faze me. It's just basically myself just going out there, putting everything together that I know how to do, and I think once I find it, we'll be back to where we need to be. It's just, like I said, just stupid luck on my part and a little bit of mistakes. Like you said, Georgia there, we could have probably pushed the issue and made it happen, but it is what it is.
Yes, it's strange to think that the all-time winningest rider in Grand National Cross Country Racing is searching a little bit for confidence, but these riders have to know they don't want the old Chris Borich to be back. Oh, and Borich hit that rock. Well, actually, I should say a boulder. That's the kind of stuff that he's talking about. These little things have prevented him from getting that type of win like McGill and Neal got earlier this year. You get one of those for Borich, and he could start a win streak, and I think everyone knows it. So they're attacking him hard. Look at that, McClure got by. We're on board with Neal here in 4th. So McClure found a better line in the woods. He's now in the runner-up spot. Hey, thanks for wiping off the camera there, Bryson Neal. Well, this is fun to watch. We've got a great racetrack and 4 really quick riders swapping positions. Back on board with Neal. Get the perfect seat to watch this battle unfold. Nice line, he's gonna try to make the pass. Oh! Borich, a huge crash. Completely over the bars. Looked like he was getting up and is okay, but a 4-rider battle has been reduced to 3. Neal's not waiting around to ask questions. He's going after the leader, Walker Fowler. Great racing through the first half here, and you can definitely see Neal, McClure, and yeah, before the crash, even Borich, they're stepping up. They don't want Fowler to get away. Almost time for pit stops here in GNCC Racing, where we like to say there's a class for everyone, including an 81-year-old.
My name is Jake Stratton, 81 years old, and I just love to ride ATVs. I started out riding motorcycles back in the 60s, and then in the 80s I changed to three-wheelers, and then in the late 80s I changed to four-wheelers. I started motocrossing for a few years, and you get to motocross, you run a couple motos, then you got to wait all day. So I figured do something that I can enjoy, so hair scrambles, I started doing that. Well, I got my kids into it, and I got my grandkids into it. Now my grandkids won't let me out. They say, "Oh, come on, Grandpa, you're not that old." Okay, buddy, you wait till you get that old. Just want to thank everybody, all the workers and everybody that puts on these races and takes time to do this, but we could have a sport like this. This is really a great sport. And I'd like to encourage maybe some older people, maybe come out and do it. You know, get off the couch maybe and get away from the TV and come out and have some fun.
Well, Jake just wants us to have an 80-plus class so we can knock off some wins. That is an awesome story right there. Here's our Rocky Mountain Rapid replay. Watch Chris Borich on the right. Hit the smallest of trees, but as any cross-country racer will tell you, trees don't move, even the small saplings. He hit it, the quad stopped, he flipped over the bars and almost got run over by Bryson Neal. Neal was then able to take second place away from Jared McClure. He was challenging Walker Fowler. There's a lap rider there having a tough time in the mud. There's Neal. So Walker Fowler has stretched the lead. And here's Borich in the red Fly Racing jersey. So good to see Borich back in the running. And there's Jared McClure pushed back to fourth. So it's all flipped. We had three riders challenging Fowler for the lead, and now he's starting to get away. So I'd say this is the most pivotal factor of this race. If Fowler's able to open up about 15, 20 seconds, then he can start running his own lines pressure-free. And you can see Neal back here and McClure, they are pushing hard. They don't want to let him have that gap. And Borich as well. They just want to be close enough to put a little pressure on. Here is Adam McGill. And here comes Josh Merritt. This is that gap we're talking about. The leaders got a little bit of a jump on them. They're chasing each other, but they have not been able to bridge that gap to the lead pack. Now really stuck in no man's land is the rider in front of them, Cole Richardson. He's running all by himself in fifth. So you're looking at sixth and seventh here with the very experienced McGill, longtime title contender, and Merritt, who is still one of the up-and-coming racers in this series. Now earlier when we thought we were headed to a mud race, we talked to a lot of the riders about what the conditions would be like for them. And Merritt, he didn't mince words. He said he would like to have a dry racetrack. The mud races, that's something he's still learning.
I definitely can run on my own merits when it's a fast track. Definitely suits me a little bit more than a muddy track. Just don't have the weight and patience to get through some of the sections where some of the more experienced guys, older guys, they know what they're doing out there and they can get it done.
I like it when Josh Merritt says he can run on his own merits with the lead group. McGill working his way through that little canyon there to the other side of the property. And Merritt continues to chase. And they're not just battling each other. They would like to catch up to the Cole train there, Cole Richardson, who's just up the road in fifth. And you can see the tree roots. It's one of the newer races on the tour, and some of the riders telling us that you get a rough ride. Those tree roots are like hitting square edges, as they call them. And the more we race at a track, the more burned in the track will get. It'll get more whipped out, more round bumps, and some of the rocks will come up. But as far as the tree roots, the earlier you're at a race in its history on the calendar, the more of those there are. Back to our lead group, and it has not changed. The top four, in fact, as tight as they were at the beginning stages of the race. Borich on that number 4 in fourth, not giving up. So Fowler's getting pushed again. Neal, McClure, and Boric, each time you see them, they get close. Fowler takes advantage of a mistake or puts the hammer down, gets back away, and they have to remount the attack. Back into the woods. This trio really pushing. It looks like Fowler has pulled away again. I can't even count how many times we've seen that gap change. Here's Neal working on Boric. We had a chance to talk to the man in front of them, Jared McClure.
Consistency kind of seems like it's key. Some guys have problems. Helped me out a little bit in the points, moving up to third in points. So, excited about that. And even looking at the points, Fowler's not that far ahead. It's still possible, try to go out there and get a win, gain some points. It seems like first or second is where you really gain the points on these guys. So just go out, have a smart race, and we'll see how it goes.
Into the pits. There's Fowler out front, pulling in. You see the Yamaha tent. He's in. There's his dad. There's Mark Notman, the mechanic, on the right. They go to work, even spraying off the radiators there with some compressed air. Keep the machine running cool. He's in and out of the pits quickly. There's Neal. And here's McClure on the ATVriders.com JMR Maxxis machine. He's out of the pit. So I think Fowler actually stretched it a little bit with a good quick pit stop. It's up to Bryson Neal now in second to try to run the leader down. We're into the stretch run of the X Factor Whitetails Grand National Cross Country Race. Has Fowler built up a lead for good, or are they about to run him down again?
The AMSOIL GNCC series on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you in part by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
X Factor Whitetails is a pretty cool place. Let's check out what happens when we're not here. GNCC Racing.
It's all about genetics and how you take care of them. These bucks that you looked at here are breeder bucks, and we'll breed them to our best does. And some of these bucks in here will absolutely get to be 500 inches. We give 2 hunts a year away for the Make-A-Wish and the Wounded Warriors. We always give 2 hunts away for the Wounded Warriors.
We're into the final lap of what has been a furious battle for AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country success today. Walker Fowler, look over his shoulder. He might have finally stabilized his gap. He's led every lap, but this trio has been close about half a dozen times today. Bryson Neal, you see the number 2, he's been pushed back to 4th. He was second as we went into the break. But Fowler now headed for daylight. Got a solid lead on the last lap. See the fans starting to head toward the finish to congratulate him. So he's looking at 2 victories in a row. Wait a minute, he's off the machine. Fowler's got mechanical problems. Here comes Jared McClure. McClure's going to steal the lead. Checkered flag, Jared McClure wins. I cannot believe what has just happened, and Fowler collapses at the line. That's good enough for second. Boric third. What has happened? Fowler led every inch of this race until the final one. And now we hear he is out of gas, and that might have been outside assistance to getting that push across the line. He is heated, obviously for multiple reasons, losing the race win, and there could be a bit of a position penalty coming his way. Meanwhile, McClure, he's probably as shocked as anyone. He's won it.
The whole race was pretty wild, but man, coming around that last turn there, I seen Joe Borch out in the fields just before pointing, that Walker was right there. I didn't know really what was happening or what was going on. And, I found out he was running out of gas then. And coming around the last turn, I seen him starting to push his bike. And I thought, oh, man, hopefully I could squeeze by him. And was just able to. Like you said, it's, rather would beat somebody straight up. But, everybody has problems in these races. And fortunate enough for me, I kept it going all the way to the line.
Here's the AMSOIL race recap, and spoiler alert, Fowler is going to be given 4th place today. After that mix-up down there at the line, you got to push the machine across under your own power. Marty Christopherson, the number 8, was battling with Fowler for the whole shot early in this one. Fowler would secure it, lock it down. He would have to contend with 3 riders today. Jared McClure coming through, Chris Boric, seeing the red jersey, and then right behind them, Bryson Neal. All 3 of those riders took turns in 2nd place and running after the leader. They were pushing furiously. Watch this. Borch down, almost got run over by Neal. But on the last lap, it looked like Fowler had them beat. But you see, he's going slow through this next to last turn. Now we know that it's because he was running out of gas, and then finally the machine gave up completely at the worst possible time with one turn to go. And here comes McClure. He's going to get on the gas, just sneak through. You know, they call McClure the sneaky snake, and he has certainly lived up to that nickname today. Fowler, meanwhile, collapsing at the line. Here are the final results, and yes, it's reflected the penalty. Fowler pushed back to fourth, so that means a second-place finish for Chris Borch. Let's check in with him on the podium.
Four-way battle all day, super close. That's what racing's about for 2 hours. It was a good day. We were, I didn't know Walker was running out of fuel, and coming into field sections, I knew I could probably try to put a good run on McClure there. Got up beside him a couple of times, and actually I was running out of fuel as well. So hats off to Jared McClure. He did a great job. I was pretty pumped to end up with second, and I mean, can't thank everybody enough that's on this machine that's helped me out. We'll get there.
Well, if you ever want proof that you cannot give up in a 2-hour cross-country race, and also proof that anything can happen, here it is. Fowler had this one in hand. They pushed as fast as they could, but they can't outrun a fueled race squad, and McClure steals the victory. Neal is going to end up on the podium in third, so let's check in with him.
Yeah, today I'm so happy with my bike, and the whole crew around me, everyone did such a great job, but today I really stuck it to myself. I made a bonehead move on the last lap. I clipped the rock, and I went down. Jared Borch got around me, and man, I'm so upset at myself because, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I could have kept second and played defense, but I got shuffled back. I tried to attack. I passed Chris, and then I was on Jared, made another mistake. He got back behind me, and I came through, and I got what I got. You know what I mean? I'm pretty upset at myself, but we got a lot of fuel for fire. These next race is 30 minutes from my house at Athens, and we're ready to take it to them here at our hometown race.
Look at this, some sportsmanship. Fowler was heated for a moment, but he's going to come up and congratulate Jared McClure on the win. That's a class act, your champion there. The sneaky snake has got the deer antlers. He wins the white-tailed GNCC. Jared McClure, congrats to him. For everyone at Racer TV, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. X Factor Whitetails is a pretty cool place. Let's check out what happens when we're not here. GNCC Racing.